From the minor annoyances that ruin the vibes to the dangerous low standards that put lives at risk, today we're flipping the script with 17 dive guides every diver hates. Let us know which ones you've encountered. And dive pros, be honest, how many have you been guilty of? Number 1 is the Showboater. We've all seen them. This is the one that treats the reef like a private circus. You'll often find them blowing more bubble rings than a 5-year-old's birthday party. We've got nothing against making the dives fun, but as a pro, you're there to facilitate the group's discovery, not just to impress people with your own skills. In our opinion, the real flex is giving everyone amazing dives and keeping everyone safe. So save the party tricks for the safety stop. And number 2, we have the Cliques. This is the crew that treats the boat like a high school locker room. Everything is an in-joke between the staff, which makes the paying guests feel like awkward outsiders. We all love good vibes and high team morale, but excessive joking around and excluding guests can come across as a bit cliquey. Professionalism on a dive boat means balancing those fun holiday vibes with a service that makes every guest feel like a valued part of the trip. So, save the cliqueness for the bar later. Number 3 is the me. This is the one that's desperate to emphasize their own epic experiences above everyone else's. Usually, this comes with a side of influencer syndrome, where their Instagram reel is more important than the guest's satisfaction or safety. Now, we love seeing people share their passion for the ocean online. But if you're working in a customer-facing role, the guests in front of you should be your priority, not your TikTok followers. In the worst case, this could actually pose a safety risk when your attention is divided. Number 4 is the joy thief. This is one we see all the time. Imagine surfacing from a dive, buzzing because you've just seen your first turtle. Then this guide steps in. Oh, you saw one? Oh, that's nice. My group saw 4, and a whale shark and 20 dolphins on the safety stop. Now look, we're all for sharing the excitement of a rare sighting, but there's a big difference between celebrating the ocean and bragging over a guest. When a guide does this, it completely deflates a guest experience and immediately kills the magic high they were just on. Your job is to celebrate your guests' discoveries, not compete with them. Number 5 is the layabout. We get it, this industry can be exhausting, but there's nothing that kills guest confidence faster than seeing the crew sprawled out at the back of the boat taking a nap. When a guide shows zero initiative, it sets a subpar tone for the entire trip. A guide needs to be active and observant on the surface so they can catch small issues before they become an emergency underwater. Seeing the staff on the ball is what gives the guests the peace of mind to actually enjoy their dive. Number 6 is the ghost. This is the guide that barely says a word from the moment you meet them. Underwater, they never look back, just floating through the dive site as if they're haunting the reef instead of actually guiding you through it. They don't point anything out, they don't communicate, and they basically make you feel like you're diving alone. Engagement is a foundation of being professional. Beyond just the fun factor, if you aren't actively watching and engaging with your divers, you're not inspiring any confidence that you're actively managing the group's safety. So, at least fake a bit of enthusiasm. Number 7 is the Paparazzi. This is the guide who's taken it upon themselves to be the dive leader and the photographer all in one go. We see this trend a lot lately, and it's usually a tactic from the dive centre to save money on staff or squeeze a bit more profit out of a tank. Whilst we have nothing against a guide carrying a GoPro tucked away just in case something truly epic or unusual happens, trying to manage a group and a camera rig at the same time is a safety hazard. In our opinion, the guide and photographer should always occupy separate roles on every trip. And number 8 is the Usain Bolt. We've all had this guide, the one who seems to think every dive is the 100-metre Olympic final. Just because you've seen a reef hundreds of times, don't forget that this is everyone else's first time. These guides are often moving at such speed that they miss half of the marine life that the guests end up finding for themselves. Now, we totally get that some dive sites are huge and points of interest can be spread out, but if that's the case, it needs to be explained clearly in the briefing. Most divers are there for a slow and relaxing experience. When a guide treats the reef like a treadmill, it just leaves everyone exhausted and stressed. A professional should set a pace that actually allows the group to observe the environment, not just swim past it. Number 9 is the home runner. We've witnessed this way too often, where every decision made is about finishing the day as early as possible. We get that you want to get back in time for happy hour, but guests are on vacation and they want to savour the whole experience. It's not just about the length of the dives, it's about the quality of the entire trip. A professional operation does not rush logistics to make up for poor management. Number 10, the know-it-all. We touched on this archetype from the opposite perspective in a previous video, but it's arguably even more prevalent among the pros. You'll find them belittling guests' experience in ways that feel more like a reprimand than a helpful tip. Sometimes they'll even bombard you with technical information or jargon that isn't even needed for the dive. The real danger here is that they can sometimes give advice that contradicts your original training. When a guide or instructor acts like this, it makes guests hesitant to ask real questions, which is a barrier to a safe and enjoyable trip. Professionalism means helping your guests feel more safe and confident, not making yourself feel superior at their expense. And number 11, it's the Babysitter Allocator. This is the one that checks the manifests, sees a decent number of logged dives and thinks, great, free labour. Instead of pairing you with a diver of a similar level or your actual dive buddy, they'll pair you with the most nervous, inexperienced diver in the group so they don't have to deal with them. It usually signifies an operational failure where the shop is either understaffed or the guide is just looking for an easy life. There's no excuse for not being able to accommodate guests of all levels properly, and without making an experienced diver feel like they're on a dive master internship. From a management perspective, outsourcing the oversight of a less experienced diver to another guest creates a massive liability risk that should never be placed on a paying customer. Number 12 is the misery guts. This is the one that probably should have quit 5 years ago. Look, we're the first to admit that the diving industry can be brutal, but there's a point where burnout turns into toxicity. If you're a guest who's saved up all year for this one trip, being guided by someone who acts like your presence is a burden is a huge buzzkill. And beyond just ruining the vibe, misery guts is actually a safety concern. When a guide or instructor has completely lost their passion, they've often lost their vigilance too. So this is definitely one to be aware of. Number 13 is the drunk skunk. We're talking about the one who rolls onto the morning boat still smelling like a brewery, likely wearing the same clothes they had on at the bar the night before. This is a massive safety concern, especially prevalent in dive hotspots with a big party culture. Look, we all like beer at sunset, but there's a big difference between enjoying your time off and turning up to work physically and mentally compromised. It's not just embarrassing for the dive shop, it's a liability. People are literally putting their lives in your hands and they deserve someone who is present and alert. Number 14 is the Reef Cowboy. This is one of the biggest red flags you'll ever see in the water. We're talking about the guide who acts like the reef is their personal playground rather than a fragile ecosystem. You'll commonly see them digging critters out of their holes just for a photo or chasing marine life. But it's general carelessness too, like holding on to living coral to stay still, or kicking off chunks of staghorn as they plough through the sight. As a professional, you should be the gold standard for buoyancy and etiquette. When a guide acts like this, they're setting an incredibly poor standard for the guests, who then think it's acceptable to go and do the same. Harassing wildlife for entertainment or damaging the reef out of laziness is not good service. It's an ethical failure that destroys the very environment your career depends on. Number 15 is the "It's fine" guide. This is the one who answers every guest's concern with a breezy wave of the hand. Leaky O-ring? It's fine. Blinking low battery on your computer? It's fine, it'll last. We get that you want to be calm and reassuring to keep the group relaxed, but there's a difference between projecting confidence and ignoring reality. By minimizing your valid concerns for the sake of their own convenience, they are essentially asking you to ignore your safety instincts. A professional takes every safety concern seriously and performs a check to make sure everything is fully functional. Number 16 is the rule breaker. We were actually shocked by how many people brought this up in the comments of our last video. This is the guide who treats safety standards like an optional afterthought. It's often things like taking an open water diver down to 30 meters, or entering restricted zones because they think the regulations don't apply to them. They're usually doing it for their own convenience, the promise of a tip, or just sheer laziness. This archetype truly thinks they're good enough to manage any crisis that might pop up, but it completely ignores the liability issues if anything were to go wrong. Worse yet, we've heard cases of guests being bullied or pressurized into doing dives they weren't qualified for. There is absolutely no excuse for dive operators not being able to organize their boat for divers of all levels. A professional doesn't break the rules to give you a better experience. They use their expertise to give you the best possible dive within the legal and safety limits. Finally, number 17 is something we've been seeing discussed on social media lately. We're talking about inappropriate touching, or making guests feel unsafe through physical proximity. This is obviously a serious violation of professional ethics. A pro instructor will tell you exactly where and why they may need to adjust you or your gear. But if anything feels inappropriate or makes you feel uncomfortable, that's a massive red flag. So if you ever experience this or see it happening to someone else, do not stay silent. Report it immediately to the dive center management and the training agency. Respect for personal boundaries and the physical safety of your guests is a non-negotiable professional requirement. So divers, which is your biggest deal breaker? We hope this helps you spot the red flags on your next trip. If you found this useful, share it with your dive buddy, give it a like and subscribe for more ocean intelligence. And we'll see you underwater.